Hey guys, so I am going to show you how to construct a pattern, an Islamic star rosette pattern, based on this particular three uniform tiling. So I just went to the Wikipedia page on K uniform tilings and picked out this one because I haven't constructed it before. So let's go. So I'm going to move that over to my other screen so that I can see it. But basically, actually, let me move it back. What I'm going to do is I'm going to construct the minimal triangle. So I'm going to construct one of these dodecagons and a couple of triangles, a square, and the hexagon. And this area right here is the minimal triangle. So I'm going to construct that, and then I'll build out from there. So I've got GeoGebra Classic 5 open, and I'm going to start by putting a point A at 0, 0, a point B at I don't know what I just did accidentally, B at 1, 0, and then I'm going to grab my regular polygon tool, click on A, then B, and I want 12 vertices. Then I'm going to put in another regular polygon, this time a triangle, and then I'm going to put in a square, and then I'm going to put in a hexagon. And that's going to give me my minimal triangle. So what I'm going to do is put in a few lines to indicate those boundaries. So there's one. I'm going to grab my perpendicular bisector tool to put one in here and here. And so those three lines are outlining my minimal triangle. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take those polygons and I'm going to change their opacity to 0 so that when I click inside them, I'm not selecting the polygon. So basically what I'm going to do here now is I'm going to put in some midpoints and circles and construct a circle packing on this graph, where the vertices are the centers of circles and the midpoints of the sides are on the circles. So for example, I'm going to grab my intersect tool. I'm going to put in those three vertices of that minimal triangle just so I have them. And then I'm going to put in some of these points here and start laying in some of these circles. And I don't need many. But what I do need are these circles inside the hexagon, inside the dodecagon, and I'm going to put a little 4-fold rosette inside my square. So I'm going to put in diagonal segments here and grab that center and that point and put in that circle. So this is my circle packing on my minimal triangle. So I'll pause there for a minute so you can get a sense of what that looks like. And then I'm just going to put in a few more intersection points. So I'm putting in this intersection point here. I'm going to put in this intersection point here. I'm going to put in, I don't know if I need that one yet, but I'll go ahead and put it. I'm going to put in the other midpoints of this triangle. I could have used the intersection tool for that, I guess. Let's see, what else do I need? Well, let's start building, and then we can go from there. Put in this segment too. Oh, interesting. So that I could have put that segment all the way across that square if I wanted to, but I didn't. It's fine. So next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put in a slider, and this is going to be an angle slider from 0 to 90 with an increment of 0.5 degrees. So right now that slider is just holding a number. And I'm going to rename this point to be point P, and then I'm going to rename this to be point O. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to rotate point O by alpha about point P, and I did Alt A to get that alpha symbol. I'm going to put in a line from P to that point O prime, and so you can see now my slider is rotating that point, and so rotating that line. I'm going to hide that point because I don't need it, and I'm going to make this line blue so it stands out, and maybe I'll make it a little bit thicker as well. Okay. Let me put in another line here. All right, so what we're going to do is we want to fill in all our petals and stars and those such things. So I know my kite is going to live here, and I get that by reflecting some points and lines. So I used my reflect about line tool there. So there's my kite, and I can create a sequence of rotations of those around. Next I want to make my petals, and so I need an angle bisector here, and I'm going to make this, let's make this green and dashed. I've been making them green lately. I used to make them red, but I don't know. I got kind of tired of red. So I've got that point. So all I have to do is reflect these points, and I've got my petal. Cool. I don't need to see those labels anymore. All right, I need to fill in a little hexagon here, a little hexagon here, a 4-fold rosette here, and a 6-fold rosette here. So the easiest way for me to do that is going to be to put in a line like so. And this is a pattern line, so I'm going to make it blue, a little bit thicker. And I need to put in this line segment, and I need the intersection of this line with this line segment. So notice I clicked the line and then the line segment rather than trying to select the intersection, just because I didn't want this other blue line to get in the way. And let me also put in this line segment. So now I can reflect this point around to put in this little hexagon. Cool. And I'm going to have a similar hexagon over here, so I can just reflect this over here, but I don't want to duplicate these points. So, oh no. Let's put that back in there. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to select these points and reflect those over that line to put in that hexagon. And I don't even know if I needed that hexagon necessarily. It is part of my minimal triangle, so I went ahead and put it, but they do repeat, so I don't know. We'll see. All right, I can hide some of these blue lines that I don't need anymore. So I don't need those anymore. I do need one to create this little blue guy, to create my fourfold rosette in my square. So I put one in there. I need an angle bisector. Oh, I can hide this one. I don't need that one anymore. Let's make this green and dash. And what did I just do? Is that what I want to do? No. I want to reflect the blue line over the green line, not the green line over the blue line. There we go. Sorry, it's early in the morning where I am. Okay, there we go. Let's put in a line segment here, and I need this point and that point. I used my reflective outline tool to get that. Okay, so I can create a sequence of rotations of this thing in there. Let's see. What I really need now is to be able to create a line over here. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to hide these guys, and I'm going to reflect this blue line over here. I think that will give me what I want. There we go. So let me hide this one. And I don't think I need this one either. Cool. I need an angle bisector. The intersection. Reflect, not the point. Blue line over that angle bisector. Oh, I should have made that angle bisector green and dashed, because that's what I've been doing. And a reflection. Reflection, reflection, and I think that this is correct. The shape looks kind of weird, but that's just because of the angle. Okay, So I'm going to hide the rest of these blue lines. This is a good place to save. And this is 3 uniform 8. Okay. So next I'm going to do a couple of sequences. So let's do sequence of rotations of Q1 and poly 5. By pi I over 6 about O, where I varies from 0 to 11. Pause that a little bit so you can see that sequence. And then I'm going to rename this point Q. And I'm going to create a sequence of rotations of poly 8 about Q. Pi I over 2 about Q, where I varies from 0 to 3. And this is point T, and this is poly 9. So a sequence of rotations, poly 9 by pi I over 3. What did I say about T, where I varies from 0 to 5. Okay, so I've got kind of all my minimal stuff in here now, and it's just a question of expanding the pattern. So what I'm going to do is hide these polygons that I use to make those sequences. I don't need those. And I can hide my circles. I'm not going to hide my points just yet in case I need something. So now I have to decide how I want to expand this thing. Do I want to expand around the 12-sided or the 12-fold rosette or around the 6-fold rosette? If I look at my tiling, it looks kind of nice with the 12-fold rosettes forming a ring around the 6-fold rosette. So I think I'm going to try that. So let me see. I want so this is M2. So T is my center. I'm going to go and hide my points because they're getting in my way. And I'm going to hide some of these segments also. There we go. And I don't need these lines either. Okay, so all I've got is kind of my minimal stuff and my minimal triangle lines. So I've got poly 6, poly 7, M2, and M1. So I want a sequence of rotations. Of M1, M2, what did I say? Poly 6, poly 7. By pi I over 3 about T, where I varies from 0 to 5. cool. I like that. That's nice. And then we could continue to expand this thing further if we wanted to. Let's see if I did this. I could fill in those little gaps. So let me add poly 6 prime, poly 7 prime, poly 6 double prime, and M2 prime to this definition. Was it M2 prime? Yeah, I like that. Cool. So then I'm going to hide my polygons. I don't need, I still need M3. I don't need these lines anymore. So I'm going to hide those. And I could turn the animation, well, let me save. And I could turn the animation on for my pattern and see how it changes over time with the angles. But that's basically it. So from here, what we could do is we could pick our favorite angle. So I like, I'm a big fan of 30 degrees because it gives me those regular hexagons. And then I can hide this. I'm going to right click and drag over the whole thing. I'm going to make it black with 0 opacity. Make sure my line opacity is 100 and my line thickness is 5. Save, and I'm going to export this as a high-res PDF. So this is 150 centimeters by 123 centimeters, and I'm going to make it a PDF. I'm going to save it on my desktop, and yeah, then I can open it in Illustrator, edit it however I want. I like to use Illustrator to change my thickness of my lines and such. And then I do my coloring in Photoshop. But I'll save that for another time. Thanks so much.